Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to look at the different types of factoring rates. A lot of there are different sort of programs which offer a flat rate, a variable rate. There's something called a reserve that you would have come across because this is one of the areas that a lot of carriers and truckers get confused with, and it's an important topic too because you need to understand how much are you paying, how much will get deducted from your invoice value, right? How much is the factoring fee? So I'm going to use a couple of examples which will help you to understand how the rates are computed and what are the different sort of programs. What's the difference between a flat rate trucking factoring program, and a variable rate trucking factoring program, and what is a reserve. I'm Jerry. I'm the founder of maxtruckers.com and a logistics expert. We work with the carriers and truckers in the US and Canada and help them to grow their business and maximize profits. In case you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to our channel because we will be coming out with a lot of content which will be helpful, really helpful for your trucking business. So now let's get ahead with the video. Okay, the first thing that we need to understand is I think most of you would be aware of factoring and truck factoring, right? So basically, what happens is you sign up with a factoring company. The factoring company, what they do is they purchase your freight bills. That means after you complete your load, all you need to do is send in the paperwork to the factoring company. They verify the paperwork, and after verifying the paperwork, they will pay you the amount of the load, right? And then the whole headache of collecting sending the paperwork, collecting the money, collections, all the office work is taken care by the factoring company. Now for this whole process, the factoring company charges a small fee. Yes, you will come across different sorts of fees. There would be programs which have a flat fee structure. There would be a program which a variable fee structure, right? So I want to explain those things. So in a flat fee structure, the factoring company says, okay, I'm going to charge you X percentage. That's going to get deducted from the load value, and the rest I'm going to give you. That's it. No strings attached, right? So there's a percentage that will get deducted to on every invoice that you submit. There are no other strings attached. The rest amount will come to you, right? Now there are programs which are a little bit more flexible, where the factoring fee is more variable in nature. That means the fact it totally depends on when your invoice is paid by the freight brokers, right? So here the factoring company says, we'll give you a program where they say, okay, I'm going to give you a slab based program. So I have slab. So if your invoice gets paid between 0 to 30 days, this is the percentage that I'll charge. If your invoice gets paid 31 to 40 days, this is the percentage that I'm going to charge. 40 to 60 days, this is the percentage that I'm going to charge you, right? So that's a slab based program. There are some programs which are variable, where the factoring company says, okay, I'm going to charge you X amount of percentage per day of the invoice. That means if it gets paid in 25 days, the factoring fee would be 25 into X percentage. If it gets paid in 35 days, it's going to be 35 into 5. So it's variable. The fee will differ. So that's how it's different from a flat fee structure and a variable fee structure. Because in a flat fee, whatever is the percentage that's agreed upon, and each invoice that is reduced, and the remaining amount is given to you. In a variable fee structure, it totally depends on when your invoice gets paid, right? So now in a variable fee structure, there is no way that a factoring company knows how much to charge you, right, once you submit the invoice, because it totally depends on when it will get paid back. So what the factoring company does is they will hold something called, hold back a portion of the load value as reserve. It could be 10% of the load value, 20% of the load value. So they will hold back that percentage as a reserve, and they will give you back the reserve. With this, the reserve includes the factoring fee also. So once the invoice gets paid, they know exactly how much factoring fee to compute and charge you. So they will reduce that from the reserve, and they will give you back the reserve. So but still you will there would be a portion that will still lie for each load lie with the factoring company, and it is your money. It will come back to you, but it will take time. It will depend on when the broker pays the value of the load to the factoring company. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to give you some examples with some numbers to help you understand a flat rate, a variable fee, and the reserve part of it. So let's look at some examples to get a better understanding. All right. So example one. let's assume your factoring program is a flat rate program and there are no reserves. So let's say your factoring rate is 3% flat. Reserve is none. There could be other charges because almost all factoring companies would charge an ACH fee or a wire fee. So I'm just going to leave it like other charges here. Now let's say you submit an invoice for $1,000, a load value of $1,000. How much do you get? Right. So once you submit the load to the factoring company, they will verify the same. Once it's verified with the broker, here the factoring fee is 3% flat. So what's going to happen is 3% of $1,000. That's $30 is going to be the factoring fee. So how much will be? So you will get that amount, that is $1,000 minus the factoring fee, that is around $970, minus other charges, which I'm not considering right now, but there would be some other charges. It will be transferred to you on the same day or within 24 hours. That's how that's the case when the rates are flat and there are no reserves, right? So let's look at the second example. So in the second example, is the rates are still flat, but there is a reserve held. There could be some programs where it's a flat rate but with reserve. So let's assume it's the same example. So here let's say the factoring rate is factoring fee is 3% flat. There is a 10% reserve that's going to be held from the load value, and there are other charges. So now in the same way, let's say you submit the same $1,000. What happens? So the factoring fee on $1,000 is same flat $30. Since there's a reserve held back, that is 10% of your $1,000, that is $100, right? Now please understand, this $100 includes the $30 factoring fee. So the amount that's going to be transferred to you the same day or within 24 hours is going to be $1,000 minus the reserve, that is $100. That will be, you'll get $900 with you minus any other charges that are there, right? Now the amount, maybe after the load is connected from the freight broker or after a specific period, the reserve will be given back to you. That means the reserve of $100, which had a $30 fee, the remaining is $70, will be given back to you, let's say after 30 days or after 25 days or after the load is paid by the broker. That depends from the factoring company to factoring company, depending on the program that you're signed with. So this is an example of a flat rate with reserve held back, right? So next, let's look at the third example. In the third example, we are now going to look at a variable rate. So in variable rate, reserve is always going to be there, right? So we're just going to look at the two types of variable rates. That's the slab based program, and we're going to look at the variable rate, which is a per day X percentage program, depending on when the invoice gets paid, the aging of the invoice. In this example, if you look at it, it's a program where they say, the factoring company says, we're going to charge you 0.08 percentage per day of the aging of the invoice. And they say that we're going to hold a reserve of 20% because they also don't know how much to charge. It depends on when the invoice gets paid. There are other charges, ACH wire charges, which is standard across all factoring companies. Okay, in the same example, now you submit $1,000 invoice. And let's say the invoice gets paid after 45 days from the freight brokers to the factoring company, right? So how much do you get charged, and how much do you get? Let's look at that. Now the factoring rate here is 0.8%, right, per day, and the invoice gets paid in 45 days. So it's 45 into 0.08. So that means the factoring rate that's going to be charged on this particular load, it's going to be 3.6%. That means a factoring fee of 3.6 of $1,000 will come to $36. That is going to be your factoring fee. Now, the day that you submit the invoice, that's your $1,000 invoice, the factoring company will reduce a 20% reserve. That is a $200 reserve will be deducted, and the remaining $800 will, minus other charges, will be sent to you on the same day or within 24 hours. This is when you submit the same day. Now after 45 days, when the invoice gets paid, now we know that now it's 45 days and the factoring fee that they need to charge is $36. They've already kept a $200 reserve. So in that $200, they will reduce the $36, and the remaining $164 will be transferred to you. All right. So this the remaining 164 comes to you after the invoice gets paid, and this is going to be for each and every load. We're just talking about one load here, right? So this is an example of a variable program, of a per day variable program with reserve. Now let's look at an example of a variable rate, a slab based variable program with reserve. Now, as I explained earlier, in a slab-based program, the factory company would tell you, okay, I'm going to charge you X amount of percentage if the invoice gets paid for X, within 30 days. I'm going to charge you X amount if it gets, beyond 31 to 40 days. Depending, different factoring companies will have different programs. So let's assume in this case, for an example, what we're saying is, okay, the factoring company's program is they're going to charge you 2% for 30 days, 3% if the invoice gets 31 to 40 days, and if it's 41 to 50 days, 4%. All right. So I'm just going to use this as a slab for us. And there is a reserve for 20% because they also don't know how much to charge you the factoring fee unless the invoice gets paid. Right. So now, the same way we submit $1,000 invoice, the invoice gets paid in 45 days. Now it's a slab based program, so now we know that, okay, since the invoice is in 45 days, the slab that I have is 4%. 4% is my factoring fee. All right, so the factoring fee would be 4% of your $1,000. That is $40 as the factoring fee. Reserve held back, it'll be 20%. That is $200. That includes your $40 factoring fee. So when you submit submit the invoice to the factoring on the same day, you would be getting $800. That is the $20 factoring. 20% reserve is reduced from your $1,000. That is $200 will be reduced from 1,000. You will get $800 and minus other charges. After 45 days, at a later period or post collection of the invoice, that in this case is 45 days, the factoring company knows, okay, I need to charge you $40. That is 4%. You come in the 4% slab, that is $40. They already have your $200. They will reduce the $40, and the remaining $160 will be paid back to you. And this happens for each load, right? So this is a variable program, a variable rate truck factoring program with reserve, which is slab based. In the previous example, what we looked at is a variable rate program, which is a per day percentage based. And in both the cases, it totally depends on the aging of the invoice when the invoice is paid by the broker. That's how a variable program works with. In a fixed program, it is very straightforward. You don't have to worry when the invoice gets paid by the broker, or there is a flat percentage that gets reduced and gives, you get back it. So in a variable, and that then the flat rate program, it's going to be that particular rate on all the invoices, right? In a variable rate program, the factoring rate or the factoring fee will vary from invoice to invoice, because each invoice might get paid in a different. Each broker has their own different terms. Some pay in 15 days, some pay in 30 days, some pay in 45 days. So the fee will go up and down. So it's very hard to tell you how much you exactly are going to pay, right? So these are the type of programs that are available. There's a flat fee and a variable rate program. I hope these examples were clear, and you were able to understand the difference. In case you have any doubt, please leave in any doubt or suggestions, please leave a comment, and we'll get back to you. All right. Okay, so now the question is, which is the best factoring program? Should you go for a variable rate or a fixed rate program? So it totally depends upon your business, because you also have different sort of factoring. That is a recourse factoring and a non-recourse factoring. I have another video which explains what is a recourse factoring and a non-recourse factoring. It is there in my YouTube channel. But if you ask me, it would be better to go with a fixed rate program. The reason being, you don't have to worry how much you're getting charged. There are no strings attached. It's a flat rate, and that's captured. Because let's say if it's a variable rate program, how do you find out problems? Problems might be like, how do you know how did the invoice get delayed, why it got delayed, how much rate you got charged per invoice. To compute all that, you got to sit with the ledger and do all the mathematics calculations, and then you even have to talk to the factoring company, regarding if it's a flat rate program. It is pretty straightforward. So I would say a flat and fixed rate program is something to look forward to. With this, we come to the end of the video. I hope this video was really helpful to you guys. Please subscribe to our channel, because we will be bringing out a lot of videos. In the coming future. Before you leave, I have two presents for you, two free gifts for you. The first one is a free ebook. An ebook on how to choose a factoring company in 9 simple steps. It comes with a very powerful checklist. A lot of carriers have found it really helpful. You can download the same. The link is given below in the description. The second free gift is basically a free consultation from our end. In case you have any doubts related to factoring or related to your trucking business, please get in touch with us. One of our trucking expert will will be more than happy to help you. How to get in touch with us? The link is again there in the description below. So get in touch with us. So please leave a comment and like our video, and please do subscribe. Thank you so much. Drive safe and make lots of money.